Now we're going to have a couple of our last lightning talks. We have the EDC here to talk about their tech-forward life sciences, supporting the advancement of technology in life sciences industry. Susan Rosenthal, the Senior Vice President of the New York City EDC. And you heard Mount Sinai Discovery and Innovation Center talking about their partner, Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, and their new Center for Engineering and Precision Medicine. Deepak Vashisht, Director of the Center for Biotechnology and Interdisciplinary Studies at Rensselaer, is here to talk about that. So two new developments that we'll learn about.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for the introduction, Nancy. On behalf of Mayor Eric Adams and the City of New York, thank you for having me here today. It's a real pleasure to be here with you, our innovators, our developers, our ecosystem, and our leaders of the life sciences industry in this region. And I'm going to take a few minutes this afternoon to share with you what we're seeing for life sciences in New York City and how that's evolving our approach to building this ecosystem in the near and long term. For those that don't know, the New York City Economic Development Corporation is the economic development arm of the mayor, and our role is to expand the city's economy with a focus on sectors that build on New York City's competitive advantages and will grow in the next decade and offer a spectrum of jobs and with good wages for a range of New Yorkers. And that's why we're excited to discuss with you the intersection of life sciences and tech and the huge opportunity it presents for New York City. But first, let me share the latest and some good news about our economy. Since Mayor Adams took office, the city has added 280,000 private sector jobs with over 118,000, which is 45.3%, added in healthcare. And we're at an all-time high for total number of jobs. And in fact, private sector employment is up 18,800 jobs from pre-pandemic levels, which, having gone through the pandemic with all of you, wahoo. And as the city's added 965,000 private sector jobs since April of 2020. And to quote our CEO, Andrew Kimball, this is a moment for celebration. Hitting these milestones demonstrates the resiliency of both New Yorkers and the city's economy. And we have a labor force participation rate that's 62.5%, and that's just shy of the record of all time, I think since the 70s, of 62.7%. And entrepreneurship, which is a cornerstone of New York City's economy, is back. This shocked me. 1 in 7 businesses in New York City has opened in the last 12 months. So we are on a rebound trajectory, and that is just a huge opportunity for all of us, for all industries, and in particular for life sciences. Great. We expect, why are we doing this? We expect life sciences in New York City to have an impact of $82 billion in economic impact over the next 10 to 15 years. And we're already seeing rapid success here. Life sciences employment has grown over 50% since 2017, from a workforce of 12,700 to 20,000. And that's even climbing more as we speak. This is in part thanks to leaders like you, and you are the stewards in advocating and growing this industry physically and in terms of building the ecosystem and connecting across the private and the public sector. Since 2016, LifeSci NYC has helped cement New York City's place on the map in life sciences and in biotech, and has created thousands of good-paying jobs through public-private partnerships. We have an initiative that's over $1 billion of investment in partnership with the broader city, and we're on track to unlock 10 million square feet of commercial life sciences spaces. That's everything from incubators to step-out space to translational R&D and more, with space for over 1,000 companies, and we're over halfway there. We have over 500 companies to date, and hopefully that will unlock 40,000 jobs. With our investment, we're supporting nonprofit facilities to spur new research that translates into companies' jobs, medicines, and life-saving technologies. And we're investing in commercial life sciences spaces also at city-owned sites. I think everybody's aware of the Science Park and Research Campus that we're hoping to build in Kips Bay. This will transform Hunter College's Brookdale campus, bringing together the life sciences industry with CUNY, the Department of Education, with health and hospitals to create the first of its kind life sciences and education innovation hub. So stay tuned for more updates on that. I know everyone's eager to understand what's next on that. Stay tuned in the very near term to hear what's coming in the coming weeks for that. And we're also supporting developers in construction and programming of commercial lab spaces and incubators. And a couple of good examples of this, which I think a lot of the folks here are familiar with, is our collaboration with Deerfield to build The Cure in Kips Bay, and our collaboration with King Street Properties to build InnoLabs in Long Island City. And knowing these are opportunities that are of keen interest for the audience here, please reach out anytime to learn more about the specifics of our objectives, of our incentives, and the programs that we have to unlock spaces across the city. So I'm going to take a minute to talk about the tech sector specifically. I know that's adjacent and in some ways overlaps with life sciences, but I think it's important to have this as backdrop for the direction that we're heading with life sciences in New York City. New York City is the #2 global tech ecosystem, and in fact is #1 for tech startup creation. The GDP for tech grew 176% over the past decade, outpacing nearly every other economic sector, and 7% of the city's workforce is in tech. That's over 335,000 employees. As the tech industry continues to evolve, we're now seeing promising growth in sub-industries like artificial intelligence. New York City's AI companies received $21.4 billion in VC funding from 2018 to 2022. That's up from $3.8 billion in the previous 5-year period. That's 5 times the amount in that short span of time. And with 40,000 people in the New York City metro area with either AI or AI-adjacent skills, New York City is a global capital for AI. And so we're seeing the creation of the next generation scalable solutions and technologies. And again, this intersects quite significantly with industries like life sciences. So as we're seeing that relationship between life sciences and technology continue to strengthen, New York City has an opportunity to draw on its tech talent and scientific leadership to become a global leader in what we're calling tech-forward life sciences. So, technology is entering an exciting new era. It's powered by data, as I mentioned, artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, engineering, and more. This is leading life sciences R&D to shift incredibly in using more computation-based discovery models. Wet lab experiments are supercharged by machine learning and automation. Synthetic biology and artificial intelligence are helping discover new bio-based solutions to solve new climate, sustainability, and environmental challenges. And complex surgeries are now faster and more precise with the assistance of robots in augmented and virtual reality. Computational biology has already revolutionized the industry with the Human Genome Project, creating a clear genomic map and setting the stage for gene therapies and precision medicine, like what you were hearing in the previous session. Now, combine that with the advances in artificial intelligence and machine learning, that type of mapping and the discovery of new targets can happen rapidly with less and less error, and not only decrease risk, but make timelines faster overall and improve drug discovery. So we're expecting drug discovery with AI to grow to an industry of $12.7 billion by 2030. And not only will we see this economic impact, but more importantly, the integration of technology with life sciences will help find global and human solutions and be a force of acceleration in healthcare. And it's already happening here in New York City. I have to tell you, when we put this slide together, we had to kick stuff off the slide. We have too many things to fit into one slide. But we wanted to include a sampling of what's happening in New York City so that you can see the leadership forming, the translational research happening, and the future potential for tech-forward life sciences. And even within the past 2 weeks, we saw the news that the Chan Zuckerberg team is launching a biohub in New York City with Rockefeller, Columbia, and Yale. Very exciting. Mount Sinai and Pfizer are using AI and machine learning for higher efficiency of drug screening and customized trial identification. And Schrodinger has been a darling of New York City for some time, leading the way with analytics for drug discovery outside of traditional life sciences and material science and more. And I'm being followed in a few minutes by a partner of ours, Deepak, who will tell you more about the Rensselaer Center for Engineering and Precision Medicine. Again, a great example of leading the way in tech-forward life sciences. So this list goes on and on. Again, could not fit this on a slide if we tried. And these uses are really transforming healthcare and improving the lives globally, but also of New Yorkers. And so this is an observation we've had over the past year or so, that New York is showing a strength in tech-forward life sciences. And so we are evolving our strategy to make sure that we are making investments that are tech-forward as we move forward. But we need your help. And so we put out, at the end of September, a call for information to anybody. You could be a developer, you could be a scientist, you could be a workforce provider. We need your help defining the subsectors of tech-forward life sciences, identifying the opportunities and thinking about what that means for the investments we make, whether it's in infrastructure, in translational R&D, and in talent. And so we put this out a few weeks ago. The deadline for it is November 29th. And so we are looking to gather input from you to understand more how we can make this happen strongly for New York City. And so I'm putting up quickly a QR code so that you can take a quick snapshot and have the link to it. And again, please don't hesitate to reach out. This RFI will help us make this happen for New York City. We're already seeing it happen. Now let's lean into that and build the strength for the city. Thank you very much. And now I'm going to hand it to Deepak. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I want to start by thanking Nancy for giving us an opportunity to talk about the center, and also to thank to all of you. We've just moved into New York. We feel the love, and it's great to come downstate from upstate. So appreciate that that support. So a little bit about Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. It's the other engineering school on the East Coast. We've been the first engineering school in the US in 1824 we were established. We've been in New York before from the building of Brooklyn Bridge. That was our alums established that, and then we've been very involved with the infrastructure build-up. The other things, more recently, we've just acquired the first quantum computer of any American university or any world, the first university in the world to have a quantum computer. So what we bring here is engineering, and part of it, as this crowd very well knows, and Sue laid it out beautifully, that technology or engineering is an important contributor to the future of medicine. So we decided to come down to New York and partner with Mount Sinai, and the reason of partnering with Mount Sinai is it's such a diverse population database, which is rich for all approaches, whether it's artificial intelligence, machine learning, applying technology to build on, and seriously believing that cure should be for everyone. So we're very focused on an inclusive healthcare approach, and hence the focus on precision medicine, that it will be precise and as individualized as each different person is. So a little bit on what we are doing and what space we want to play in. So this is a interesting layout of the funding from NIH. First, what you see in red is displayed by disease area. So as you go from darker red to lighter red, it shows you how the investment has been put in by the federal government in this area. Brain disorders being the highest, infectious disease, cancer, regenerative medicine, then going to aging. But what is interesting, if you take the same dollars and split it by the approaches which this funding is going on, as expected, clinical research is a large share of it, which is $18 billion. But if you combine, then you look at biotechnology and biomanufacturing, which we've been talking about the application, even NIH is recognizing and putting the same amount of money in these approaches to addressing health problems as it's putting in clinical research. So that was a game changer. I started, as an engineer, applying for NIH funding was very tough 25 years ago. They said, what are you doing in this space? This is medicine. And that dramatically changed, and that shows the openness of everyone coming together to look for new solutions. And so that's the space we want to play in, so we bring this bioengineering and biotechnology to human health. On the other side, you've all heard about the new agency, ARPA-H, and ARPA-H is, again, looking at a DARPA kind of approaches to develop technologies which transcend and address a lot of chronic diseases and stuff, not specific to a particular disease case like the NIH, but applying it very widely to tools and technologies which will approach that. So that's the space sort of we are tying in and playing in that space with Mount Sinai. Now, these are our 3 focus areas within that, which are part of the intellectual core. We want to focus on neuroengineering, immunoengineering, reparative and regenerative medicine. The vision in each one is sort of laid out, and it all kind of goes in whether you want to develop a minimally invasive procedures and develop some neural circuitry in neuroengineering, or is it engineering the new immune system, or actually to produce on-demand personalized tissue for repair and regeneration. So these are 3 visions in 3 separate areas. And as each one, I won't go into the details, but you can see that in each case we are combining very interdisciplinary approaches, which is very much based in engineering to address that. So for example, in neuroengineering, we are looking at AI-driven robotic surgery, magnetic genetics in a way to address the issues, which are bringing sort of a new angle to human health from that point. Similarly, when we talk about immunoengineering, we heard about the CAR T-cell therapy, but like looking at how do you design new immune cells, or in general, engineer cells which can sense and dispense. So, essentially I tell people that you have your diagnostic, your doctor, and your pharmacist all in one in the cell, that if you can inject in, they will do the diagnosis and then release out what is needed to bring it back to homeostasis. So that's part of our vision. How do you want to go forward in that particular space? And last but not the least, in regenerative medicine space, we want to focus on organoids. So patient-derived stem cells. We are actually located at 619 West 54th Street. We're also partnering with New York Stem Cell Foundation. We put in a lot of focus on iPSC cells, but how then we use to develop organoid system. And Sarah Miller talked earlier this day in the morning. We're looking at how to combine different organoid system for brain organoids, bone, liver, and other things to have communication. So literally developing a virtual human out of the body and test all the drugs and drug therapy on that part, individualized to a patient. So that's part of the vision going forward in these 3 areas. We are hiring, bringing in jobs to New York City in all these areas. The center will start with 18 faculty, 9 from RPI, 9 from Sinai. They will have their lab spaces, postdocs. And one of the other innovative aspect of this is that we are going to have a resident industry members who will be operating in the same space as the research is going on. So there we wanted to almost decrease the distance between the research and industry, so they work together side by side. So that's part of the vision of CEPM. The other important vision of CEPM is that we're developing a new PhD program. This has been submitted to New York State for approval. And this program is different from other engineering or any other programs as we think around the country, that we are not focusing on producing faculty. We are basically developing this program to produce future entrepreneurs. And so a person who does PhD level research, which we believe is required in medicine, they will go into that particular area and come out and want to have a startup. So the approach we are following is slightly different. So essentially, it involves engineering, which is process and product design, open-ended problem solving, combined with medicine, where the students will be looking at different case studies, attending grand rounds, and then focus on the 3 areas I talked about. So a little bit about the PhD program, because it's an innovative aspect. The first year, they will be trained upstate in New York on immersed in engineering. So they will live in that. They will live and breathe design and design different components, followed by training in entrepreneurship and commercialization. So RPI had a very successful set of courses called Inventor Studio courses, where a lot of companies have spun out of that in engineering space. So we're bringing that concept to medicine and have the students do biodesign with Inventor Studio courses. So first year, they will know how to make products and how to basically problem solve. It will be followed by clinical rotation and shadowing at Sinai, so they can identify unmet clinical need, and that's where their PhD starts. So we want translation to be a forethought, not an afterthought. So that's very different. The program is flipped over than how it traditionally happens. And we are banking on that will produce entrepreneurs who will be here. And I was so happy to see so many incubator spaces and stuff. So this will be a right environment for these future researchers and entrepreneurs to come out and operate and work in that space. So that's the other unique aspect of this program, which we're putting together. We also plan to have a development lab with CEPM, and here we want to bring a concept from product and having return of investment. So you see the typical layout that it starts with federal or industry funding, goes through the IP generation part, goes through concept development, refinement, technology validation, and all the way through translation. So that essentially we feel that New York City provides a very rich environment, and Sue cited out various aspects of it. This just shows like one snapshot of what VC investment is available in New York City, which is greater than $1.1 billion in the 3 areas we are targeting. So that's the reason also of focusing and being in New York City, because we believe that this is the right environment to be doing these things. And last slide here, I want to share with you our growth strategy. So in the CEPM Development Lab, we want to partner with Biotech Venture Fund and Biotech Pharma and Digital Healthcare Company, and I was happy to see different representation of these 3 areas here. The second one is to recruit and support resident industrial partners. We've actually recruited our first company before the labs have opened. The name is Cytogen. They work in cancer stem cell area. And they will be actually relocating part of their stuff from South Korea to here and moving to New York City and working very closely with Sinai in that space. We want to initiate a venture fund for transition of early inventions to commercial products, which will include enhancing the value proposition from start, because a lot of companies, they fail, they don't look at the value proposition. So the PhD program I described to you tells students how to look for value proposition start from the start, and then they have 5 years to develop that throughout their PhD as they're going through. So they'll be better prepared going through. We also have a seed funding program where we want to seed and explore new territories, establish industry collaboration, and lead high-value research proposal, and we're going to be targeting some larger proposal with other partners in New York for the ARPA-H initiatives. We also, being in a traditional university, want to focus on promoting STEM outreach and education to New York City schools, because talking to our collaborators in Sinai, it turns out that engineering seems to be a big draw for underrepresented groups in science and engineering and technology, because this shows an easier path for financial stability. So we want to actually run weekend clinics for New York City schools in our centers so that they can come in and get interested in pursuing engineering, and more importantly, the intersection of engineering and medicine moving forward. We also want to bring some of our undergraduate students from RPI down here to expose them to New York City, different areas. We do have a large catchment area throughout the country, so we want to sort of bring them up and locate them here. We also have typical programs like all engineering school on capstone design to come up with new products. So those students will also be coming in, and CEPM will be a launch pad for them here in New York City. I talked a little bit about our hiring. So we are hiring in these 3 areas. We are hiring for endowed chair positions. So we've essentially gotten an endowment to support a recruitment. So these will be senior people whom we are recruiting from other states to move to New York State and to New York City in that particular area. And we've actually closing down our first set of recruitment of 4 people on that particular space. And also there will be a lot of opportunities for pre- and postdoctoral fellows. Been talking to some people here that we also want to do a industrial internship program for our PhD students who can rotate through various incubators and various initiatives, which are very well represented here in this symposium today. So that way we want to create an ecosystem and really be a partner on it, not to create something different. We want to be part of the solution and be there, not essentially compete, but collaborate at the same time. I'll stop here, and I think we're ready to take questions, both Sue and I. If you have questions for either one of us, please go ahead.
Deepak, all I heard was opportunity from that, of essentially seeding the future next Moderna, the future next Celgene, right? I just see that in the science, the engineering that you're bringing to the table. So really congratulations on opening and bringing this talent in.
Well, thank you. I want to mention with various initiatives you have supported over the years, so we certainly want to be part of that and come into the space and work with everyone. Let's see.
Great. Questions? Nancy.
So one of the challenges that I've heard as I've spoken to a variety of pharma companies that have been in the New York marketplace is how to actually collaborate with the New York institutions. Scientists and doctors in these institutions are very busy. They're focused on their own research. They have all of their internal procedures. And so as you, an engineering school, think about coming into New York and partnering with a school like the Icahn School of Medicine, what are you doing to make sure that those procedures are facilitated in a way that your researchers are going to be able to interact with other researchers and really be creative and inventive?
So excellent question, Nancy, and we had that from our board of trustees also asking that what is your strategy for collaborating and how do you think it's going to work? So we've actually partnered with Sinai from 2013. So we've been doing a remote collaboration, and together our PI and Sinai have generated $80 million of shared funding over these 8 years. So we've taken lessons from that. So what are those lessons, right? The first one being is that the seed program really works. So we seeded a program where one of the PI needed to be from our PI, the other one from Sinai. And it turned out that we made a call for proposals. We could only fund 6 of them. We got 31 applications. And the ones we didn't fund actually continued on their own. So then both the institutions decided that we don't need to give seed funding every year because the other ones who put a proposal together will find a way to do things together if you can do that. Second one was holding combined symposium on different areas where we bring people together for like what you've done here, that it generates that. And the third one, which was I think the most important one, is students are the glue which hold things together. So we have this shadowing and clinical rotation. So PhD students who are very focused, they're going from one institution to the other and actually participating in grand rounds. They're also participating in following the clinician, what we call the shadowing program. So they identify the problem and they will tell PIs that, hey, we want to work together with this, this, and this. And the PhD committee also actually have an entrepreneur who she or he will be the part of the PhD committee. So that translational component is there. And then students also do what we call industrial internship or rotation. And the idea is for them to do 20 hours per week in the summer as a rotation. And I've talked to some of the exhibitors here at like the bio labs, for example, and others, that Kent students and J Labs are also wanting to partner with this with us, that the students will actually be available at no cost for the startups to work over the summer. So again, if there is an interaction between the startups, so we want to glue that together. So I think students are one of the big important component of the program. So the uniqueness of the program, at least we feel, is a PhD program, which brings these people together.
Just piggybacking on that question, what is your strategy in terms of binding or gluing the PhD program to translating by de-risking technology operations from a business school standpoint? Because that is the component I saw missing in the entire presentation.
So I quickly went over it. Our Biodesign and Inventor Studio program is very much based on the I-Core NSF strategy, where they're identifying, going and interviewing 100 people. And in this case, they're interviewing the patients, the healthcare providers, the startups, and the patients, and clinicians, obviously. And based upon that, they're identifying unmet clinical need. and then developing what they call as, key value propositions, and doing an hypothesis testing against the market data to see whether it will work or not. So we have a New York State funded life science entrepreneurship program with Mount Sinai already. So that becomes the leverage of these two courses. And this happens in the first year of the PhD program, not in the last year. So currently, the center, I lead it upstate. We do this program towards the end of the PhD program because we felt that once the students know what they're doing, they will go and look into the market. But what happens is they realize that they have not done a critical experiment to develop a minimum value product. And then it becomes too late because that becomes the gap for them to translate. But if they do that in the first year, they will be able to do that critical experiment or set of experiments during their PhD. So translation will be easier.
And if I could add on to that, several years ago, we launched a program called Entrepreneurial Lab NYC because that capability for the scientists wasn't as evident to us. A very successful program, many great leaders that have come out of it. I'll cite Cressalon as a great example. Joe Landolino was part of the program. I think Carlo, you might be here, some of you were here earlier, was part of that program. Many entrepreneurs have spent time with that are scientists. But the reason I bring it up is not because of that program, but actually what we've observed over the last few years is that the institutions like RPI are now putting this programming in place as part of their PhD programs and as complement for their postdocs even after their PhD programs. So Columbia, NYU, I think of the Endless Frontier Lab program with their business school. Columbia also has a program with their business school as well. But also not just with the business school, but for those postdocs to complement their scientific training with the market training and the entrepreneurship. So that's something that's very different than 10 years ago. And I think will also, not every PhD can go on to become faculty. In fact, the vast majority do not. And so now knowing that opportunity is there and knowing the demand is there from the scientific students, these institutions have put these programs in place. Memorial Sloan Kettering has it, Rockefeller has it, many do. So that will lead to more of that skill set that will help those companies then survive and thrive. And I think we're out of time. One more question, and then I think we have to wrap.
So we'll be leveraging NYCEDC, so we're working with them very closely on that part. And we had a talk on cell therapy. We're also looking, so they have developed it for iPSC, induced pluripotent stem cell. We want to use the same approach for batch manufacturing, looking at cell and gene therapy so they can be individualized for patients.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Deepak.
Thank you.